Hello there YouTube, this is Rowan from Pagan Pet and I got new glasses! Anyway, okay, this is a video for beginners who want to know about the Book of Shadows and the Book of Mirrors and why you have each one. And this is my Book of Shadows, which is actually a Book of Mirrors, so I've been corrected, because it's in a sort of diary form, and rather than just writing down spells and stuff, I write down my thoughts and things like that. And this is the Book of Shadows I got for working with our coven, and I'm going to talk to you about why you should have both, or why you should have one of them, because just talking about the Book of Mirrors will not be a very long blog post. It's a diary. There we go, we're done. Okay. Whatever you do, it's whatever's personal to you. You can be ornate, simple, scrappy, it's absolutely no bother. Right, the reason you should have a Book of Shadows, and they are completely awesome, is because you can make them really ornate, like that. That's my first page. I like to write reads in them, and a read is like a poem. If you read the Wiccan read, you'll know what I mean. It's like a verse that tells you rules and guidelines, or just, handy little tips so that you remember things more easily. And the Druids used to have bards who'd remember and pass on poems that would carry the traditions, so it helps you build up an information bank. And here I have the Wiccan read written down. Everyone should have it in their Book of Shadows, apparently. And so that's the Book of Shadows. You can go and make really tidy, lovely entries in it, where it's all simply put out. All the information you need is there, and but as you can see, mine doesn't have much in it, and that's because the idea of having to be tidy and putting something in lovingly and having some form of structure, or having to decorate and design it in any way, is so daunting to me that I just can't carry it out. So it's very rare that I put anything in my Book of Shadows. My Book of Mirrors, however, is a completely different story. The Book of Mirrors it has its flaws in that it's untidy, and it's hard to go back and say, oh, this is what I learnt from this is what that means. But you can go back on and check spells that you've done, write how they turned out, whether they turned out well at all, and really revisit your thoughts on your spells. As well as with me personally, I do a lot of divination. If you see, all the time I've got tarot spreads written down, me telling my future constantly, because I can't be bothered to wait and see. So, and as well, if I'll flick forward, my little teacup diagrams that I draw, and that's what goes into a Book of Shadows. Look, a lovely, lovely gargoyle there for you. And that's useful for me. Another thing that I think is essential from the Book of Mirrors is to actually write it out, what it is you intend for a spell, because sometimes you'll find you're writing out all your problems, all the reasons why you want to get it done, and then you realise you're doing the opposite to what you should be doing. Maybe it's a different spell you need to be doing, or maybe it's a completely different action in the, you know, you should be actually doing something about it and not just making a spell for it. And I find lots of beginners fall into that, including me. I used to do spells for everything. Right, I want to show you making a really quick budget book of mirrors. The first thing you need to do is make sure it doesn't fall apart. So what I tend to do is, where's the end of this? There. I tend to get a nice long piece of thread. There we go. Tie it all together. There, I forgot my crochet needle, and that's the helpful thing, is if you have punch holes for this, you're going to need something like a crochet needle. Poke the hole through, because there'll be like little bits of paper in it. Right. And hook your wool. I use wool for this. I'm using blue. When you go to tie this, remember that you're going to be opening it a lot like that. So you're going to need it to be just slightly loose. Right, I'm going to knot it this way. You can choose any knot you like, but that's the way I knot everything. I've double threaded it because this, as you can see, is very thin wool and it's catching on itself. Tie this into a bow, so 2 loops. You could tie it into a bow, or you could turn it into your very own bookmark by hanging pendants like these from it and just using it as a page keeper. But I'm going to make it into a bow and tie them on anyway, because I'm badass. And that's my definition of badassery. Except also my other definition of badassery is Genghis Khan. He's just awesome. Okay. Having tied it on, I'm going to use the same knot I did before. Okay, now you've got that, but it still looks pretty sucky. So I've got shiny blue paper. And thought we'd cover. Part of the reason I did this video so late is because it took me ages to get hold of one of these. Because I'm always broke, so I can't buy my own. I have to borrow other people's. Right. Have your paper a bit bigger than your pad, and don't fumble around like me. Right, fold over some of the edges so you get an idea of where it's going to be. Cut diagonally from the corner. I expect you'll probably do this a lot tidier. If you've done covering books before, that's basically what we're doing here. And cut in. Right. I don't do tidiness, by the way. There we go. I'm going to put a picture on the front because it's quite typical to have something nice on the front of your book of shadows or something like that. And so I'm going to put a Triskelion on there, which is a symbol of the Trinity, naturally, since it's 3. Can label it what it is, Book of Mirrors, but I'm not going to bother. So there we go, there's your Book of Mirrors for you, and you can open it like that. I was going to show you some other stuff, but we have no time for that, so hopefully tomorrow I'm going to do a video on altars, and really hope I'll be doing that, but it's sort of a squeeze for time tomorrow. So if that's not tomorrow, then next week I'll be seeing you again. Peace out. Sorry guys about making this video so edited, but you can only fit so much insanity into one video.